Hello, this is Martin Auer speaking again from Science Sales Academy. And this is video number 126, and it is about the sales presentation, a matter of perspective, or the 5 most important questions that salespeople should ask themselves before every sales presentation. A successful sales presentation must first of all be one thing: customer-centric. This means that the customer's problems need to be first priority. This requires a thorough preparation. This sounds banal, but nevertheless is often ignored in practice. In particular, greenhorns in sales often underestimate the importance of a good preparation. But also experienced salespeople sometimes tend to go unprepared into a sales presentation because they rely on their experience or just believe they have no time for it. What is the biggest and most widespread mistake that can be done in a sales presentation, and how can you avoid it? The biggest mistake is the wrong perspective, which may be described as the most fatal error in a sales presentation. Many salespeople believe that in a sales presentation, the first part must necessarily be taken by relationship building, followed by a detailed presentation of their own company and their product. This practice is often observed in real life. Of course, the part relationship building is a very important one and not to be underestimated. And also a representation of the own company and the products belongs into a sales presentation. Because as a listener, one wants to know with whom one has to deal. Of course. Nevertheless, this approach is based on one almost fatal mistake from our point of view as salespersons. Because in this approach, not the problems, the needs and interests of the customer are prioritized, but instead the salesperson, the sales organization, and the product. What is really interesting and important to the customer, and for which problem the customer may want to find a solution, however, remains at the very least for the time being outside, or is only briefly addressed. In any case, the customer problem does not get the prioritization that it should get. Therefore, this approach is fundamentally wrong. But how to make it better? In order not to make this fatal mistake in a sales presentation, you should deal with the following 5 questions in advance of your sales presentation. First, what is the problem perception on the customer side? How does my individual interlocutor perceive the problem for which I would like to offer him a solution within my sales presentation? It is important to note here that in the B2B area, several contact persons will be involved in the customer side. Each of them will certainly play a certain role in the procurement process and therefore will also have their own view on the problem. There is no standard answer here. The answer to this question must be adapted to the respective buyer roles and decision types. Number 2, which arguments are suitable for which contact persons? What are the characteristics of my product? Which lines of argument are interesting for which contact person? Number 3, what is the social structure in the buying center? What role does the person play in the decision-making process in the customer company? Who is talking to whom? What are the social networks in there? Number 4, what are my own goals? What is the goal for myself as a seller with my sales presentation? And number 5, what is my credibility based on with these people? And what can I do to further expand my own credibility? These are the 5 questions, and anyone who answers these questions systematically before every sales presentation and who implements the gained insights into the process and into the sales presentation will be able to significantly increase the sales success. This is the only way to avoid the biggest mistake possible in sales: ignoring the customer and his needs. Please subscribe to my channel and never miss a new video here on the right bottom side. It's totally free of cost for you and there are no further obligations whatsoever. For you, it is only one single mouse click and for me, it helps a lot. Thank you very much. And as your personal starting point to more effectiveness in everything what has to do with people, just click on this little eye at the right top side. Here is free for download your personal disc booklet, your most important foundation for success in strategic sales in life science and biotech market. You have questions? Just contact me. My contact information is on my homepage, thesciencesalesacademy.com. Thanks a lot for listening and watching. Take care and see you again next time here on the Science Sales Academy channel.